on what's wrong with your boat. Today we have a muffler repair. It actually broke about 3 weeks ago. It took a while to get it fixed, so reinstall. The weld broke. This is the original, look where I'm aiming here, the original muffler to the boat. They just get weak in the welds. It's just pipes. So I had the weld repaired here, and I've got to get it back down here. This boat, I know the bilge is nasty. It's lake water, and then I get some funky brown growth in there. I need to put some bleach or something in there with it. It has a heat exchanger, so it has, those of you who know these type of systems, it's boring, but if you don't, there's a heat exchanger in here, so your raw water from the lake gets pumped up and then through, and then catches the heat and goes out through the muffler and has a lift muffler. And then there's actually regular refrigerant, glycol refrigerant, that circulates through the engine. It just transfers heat from one to the other and then pumps out the back. So a few weeks ago that weld broke and the cabin filled up with smoke and water spraying everywhere as it pumped through the engine. So I finally got the muffler back and get it put in today. Hopefully for the first time in a month get the engine going. We'll do another one here when we get her started. Not real sure I want to document this after being 3 weeks without the boat and just waiting on one weld. I had one bolt break off when I was trying to get it out, so I bought some nice stainless Allen because of the way the thing was welded to begin with. It's really hard to get anything in there. I'll show you what we've got now. That's just the outlet hose. Down here where the heat exchanger, which is this thing, that's stuck in the other side. The bolts, so I got nice stainless Allen bolts. I thought it'd be easy to get into. This one's impossible. The holes don't quite line up, not a huge deal. This one, completely stripped. I don't know how that happened. Only two solutions, the helicoil or tap it out and put a bigger bolt in there. And on this side, on the bottom where the bolt broke, actually I took it out so it won't line up, and I actually broke my tap because the tool I had to hold the end of the tap is ancient. That was all I had, and it will not work down there because of the hot water line that crosses over just underneath it. So I have a hole that's not deep enough, two on the top that I had to get in with vice grips, and one that's completely stripped. So we're forked as far as a muffler today. I don't really know what to do. Tap these out, like I said, and wallow them out on this side to where if they don't go in perfectly straight, you can see how tight it is because they just get this massive weld around here. And this is straight from Islander back in the mid-80s. They just made the stuff themselves. I mean, it thing weighs probably 35 pounds. It's just massive. And it's held up this long. This is where the weld broke. And so the water just pumped straight out of the engine and just filled up the bilge. But waste of time today. I guess I still have a houseboat. There's no way to get out of the marina just under sail alone. A little depressing, but pull it back out and get a bigger tap and bring the proper drill bits. The reason I broke the tap, I've only got one drill bit out here. Oh, that, and I was using a drill, slowly using a drill with a tap, which you don't do. It was all I had because of the T-handle, the incorrect handle. I guess I'll buy the correct handle. Oh, there's the bolt. One of them. I also dropped one of the washers down there somewhere. But it's stainless, so it's barely magnetic. Just start over, get a new tap, another 12 bucks, bigger bolts, bring the proper drill bits, and get a new handle for the tap, I guess, and we'll try again maybe next week. Well, I wasn't ready to surrender yet. It's about a half hour later. Took everything out, WD-40 the hell out of the holes and put the bolts back in. This camera doesn't like to focus close up. You won't be able to see it, especially when it's dark down there. At the bottom, there's a gap. They didn't take their time welding it. And I appreciate the people that helped me, and they'll never see this, but they half-assed it. So this one, I think it is stripped, but it's enough of an angle in there now that it's holding a little bit, which anything would have been helpful. Probably still need to drill it all out and retap it, and I don't know what I'm going to do because the muffler is now angled wrong. It's actually tilting too far this way, and it needs to be out a little more so that this pipe, man, you'd almost have to have it in here bolted up and then weld this joint right here to get it right. This is an idiotic design. I mean, they've been building these things long enough that Islander could come up with something better than this. So I guarantee that it will leak some exhaust fumes, but it's fumes, it's not water. I don't run the engine that much right now, so if I can just get out here and sail at least. If I ever showed the whole thing taken out, all 5 panels here. I love having the engine down there for weight distribution, but that's it. It is miserable to work on. If you have to get to anything below it, you can forget it. My friends on the Islander website, we had belt discussions. Once again, bloody knuckled here. My pulleys were extremely rusty. Nose is in the way. Anyway, the pulleys, this alternator pulley was very rusty. The main drive pulleys. This belt was tight when I put it on, but it is eating it to almost nothing. It needs a new belt, but it's cleaned the pulleys off real well. It's a sacrifice. The water pump, this is the engine water pump for the glycol. It is non-adjustable, best I can tell, and well, I need to adjust my timing belt too. I just replaced all that. You have to take this shiv apart, and I assume you're supposed to put something in the end of it, lock it to get these off, and then just slide your belt on. But this is as tight as you can get a belt on here, a belt this size. When it works, it just pumps water through the engine. And this is your raw water pump. Inlet is this one, and it goes out through this heat exchanger. Say the raw water goes through the center, and then the glycol from the engine goes kind of around those tubes. There's tubes that go straight through the heat exchanger. You can see them on this one. So the tubes on the inside, the raw water, in, straight out the back. Actually it mixes in the chamber here. And then your glycol goes around that on the inside, and this little cap here, it'll go back on there. See, it's got 2 different levels that tighten down, so your raw water can go through the center, but it seals off the glycol side, and it keeps the seawater out of your engine. So we're going to put all the hoses back on, fired up. I can probably get some kind of a high temp putty. I just don't run the engine that much. High temp putty and get around the gasket down here where it's nice and dark. The sun has gone behind the clouds. Down around the bottom there. Probably putty the small crack up, and then some exhaust tape or something, like a muffler tape. And that'll probably hold it until, I don't know, I'd love to get a new muffler, but that's a bit of a project to try to come up with a concoction, and because of the way it sits, there's no flat surface to sit it on. It's actually bolted down there on the back of the transmission, so it's got to be pretty exact as far as the alignment, and it didn't turn out that way when I got it repaired. I'll spend another probably half hour, maybe a little more, getting it buttoned up, and then crank it up and see how bad it is. And good morning. It is Sunday. I'm exhausted, fine. We were out, met up with some friends out here last night, or yesterday afternoon, got the motor running, had dinner and rafted up with them for a little while, and then decided to stay the night out here in this little cove, just kind of right across the lake from the marina. Just thought I'd show you another little bit of East Tennessee. beauty of living in the mountains and sailing on a lake. Well, sailing part, there's no wind, but you may hear some in the mic, but it's like a knot and a half maybe. Hoping a little bit will pick up looking out the entrance to the main harbor. There's some ripples out there. Just wanted to show you the cove. And we get the bald eagles, and I'm sure the deer come up to the water's edge. I haven't seen any of those or anything. The ducks and the fish jumping, it's just an amazing place to be able to come and just hang out for free. I mean, it's the main channel out there. But it's just beautiful. And we got a fishing boat and a pontoon going by. Maybe coming back here. I'm going to finish up my coffee and then probably head out, tie up and head back to the house in the real world, unfortunately. Yeah, I guess that'll probably be the end of this one. So enjoy. I'll see you next time.